everyone, and welcome back to the Spiked Coffee and Sarcasm podcast. I'm Van.
I'm Crystal.
And we are back for episode 2. Hopefully you enjoyed episode 1. I think today we're going to talk a little bit about kids and parenting because we're experts at that, if you want to call us that. So I have a question for you, Chris, to start us off.
Okay.
I want to know, are you the mom that you thought you were going to be before you had kids? For example, I have people that I've spoken to that don't have kids that say, well, if my kid did that, if my kids ever did that, I would do this, this, and this. And I'm looking at these people thinking, yeah, no. None of what you're saying right now, you're probably not going to do most of that. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't people out there who are exactly the mom that they thought they were going to be before they have kids. I'm sure that it happens. Didn't happen for me. So I'm just wondering if you thought, or if you think at this moment, are you the mom you thought you were going to be before you had kids?
Absolutely not.
I figured you'd say that.
I was a perfect parent before I had kids. In fact, I was the best parent on the block.
Oh, everybody is.
None of my kids, right? None of my kids would have done, they would have been perfect angels, and they would have done their homework when I asked, and my house would be clean because they do their chores on the first request, and they don't,
Yeah.
and even back, like, all my kids are older now. They're 22, 17. I have a new 17-year-old and a new driver, 13 and 12. So they're not babies anymore. But even when they were babies, they were never going to be colicky, and they weren't going to cry, and they were going to be, perfect. And no, I'm not the parent that I thought that I would be.
Yeah.
I'm more realistic now.
I'm pretty sure that, just like you said, they're not going to cry, and they're not going to be colicky, and they're not going to do this. I'm telling you right now, I would like to speak to the people at Pampers, Huggies, Play School, and any other baby product company out there that puts commercials on TV and makes us think that having kids is this glorious walking in the park, both parents holding the hands, and you're sitting in a chair and you're gazing out the window or gazing down at your child, and it's this beautiful setting, and they're just looking up at you and smiling. No. Having a child is nothing like that. I'm not saying that there's not moments like that,
right?
But it is nothing like that. That baby you're sitting in the chair with is probably either doing one of about 4 things: crying, pooping, spitting up, and squirming. They don't sit still. In the early stages, they poop out of every diaper you put them on. It comes out of every hole, the top, both sides, front. It doesn't matter. It comes out. And the toys that you buy for your kids, they don't play with them. Buy them cardboard boxes. Go to U-Haul and buy them cardboard boxes. Make them into rocket ships, castles. Put a freaking hole in it. It doesn't matter. They want to play with the boxes, not the toys. It's all just a big old fraud, as far as I'm concerned.
It is. I do believe I was misled, because I will tell you that all those commercials made being a parent seem so perfect. And when I was in the store, I would see these moms with their kids throwing a fit in the middle of the store, like throwing a fit, screaming. And I'm thinking, my kids would never do that. I will never, ever have that problem. And I can't tell you how many times when my babies were babies, I left a shopping cart sitting in the middle of the store and walked out with him.
I've done it too.
A screaming baby.
Yep.
I was very misled, and I think that that's false advertising. And somebody should be responsible for that.
Yeah.
Because that'll mess with your head.
Well, and another thing, potty training. For me,
Oh.
potty training was the worst thing in the entire world. Now, I have 2 sons. My first one was a nightmare. My second one pretty much potty trained himself, which was wonderful because after all the crap I went through with the first one. But commercials
Right.
about pull-ups and potty chairs, I'm telling you, new parents or you want to be a parent, those things don't work. The little bells on them, they don't work. They just don't waste your money. And trying to potty train your child before they're actually ready to be potty trained is a complete waste of time. I know you don't want to buy the diapers. Yeah, I know you don't want to buy the diapers. They're fucking expensive. I know. Right. Baby wipes are expensive. But you're going to waste so much time and so much money buying every trick in the book to try and get your child to pee and poop in the potty. You might as well just wait till they're ready. Just wait until they initiate it. It will save you a lot of heartache, a lot of crying, a lot of yelling. I traumatized my child when he started peeing in the potty. I wanted him to poop in the potty, and he didn't, and he pooped, looked me straight in the eye and pooped on the floor, raised his leg like a dog, and pooped on my carpet. And I thought I was going to kill him. I saw red. I was so mad. And he did not poop in a potty for another 6 months. Because I scared him.
How old was he?
He was, I want to say he was just almost 3. Because he pretty much started going in the potty when he turned 3. Because he's like a child of, I'm going to do it when I'm ready, and I'm not going to do it because you want me to do it. So I said, when you turn 3, we're getting rid of...
That's another thing they don't tell you.
That's another thing. You can't make your child do anything that you want it to do on cue. It doesn't work. They have a mind of their own, and when they hit their terrible 2s or terrible 3s, because there is such a thing as terrible 3s, they're not going to do anything that you want them to do. You might as well just forget it. They rule your house, and they make the rules, not you.
Yep, and that's the truth. I mean, when I was potty training my oldest daughter, I had a potty, and for my son too, my oldest son, I had a potty that actually sang when there was, something passed by the sensor. And it came with a book that they could sit and read, very pretty pictures, bright colors, the whole 9 yards. And they're not going to pee or poop in that potty until they are ready to pee and poop in the potty. Yep. And it's not going to be on your timeline. Well, it's going to be on theirs. And
if it does work for some, if it does end up working, all of those bells and whistles and crap, it means that you are a stay-at-home mom, and your sole goal for at least 2 weeks straight is to ask your child every 20 minutes if they have to pee. But if you
waited 20 minutes? No, I was following them around going, are you sure? You have to pee? It's no wonder why we're all neurotic. It's my fault. Because I did that. I was so afraid they were going to pee in their clothes or in their, put them in the big boy pants or big girl pants, and they were going to pee, and I didn't want to be disappointed. And you're right.
Why are we scared for them to pee in their pants? I'm guilty of it too. I never wanted my kids to pee in their pants or in their bed or whatever, but why? I mean, it's going to teach them that they don't like to be wet. I mean, granted, it gives you laundry that you have to do, which kind of sucks. But when I asked my mom how she potty trained me and my brother, and she said, I put you in big girl underwear and just said, you're done. You're done with diapers. If you peed or you pooped in them, then that's what happened. And soon enough, you didn't want to be wet or have poop on your butt in your big girl underwear.
Right?
I was like, well, hot damn.
That's just not even something that I thought of. I just thought, I remember thinking, okay, we're committed. We're doing this. And then when we started doing it, it was like, it became a challenge. Okay, so you're going to pee in your pants? We'll see about that. And that's exactly what happened. I I did walk around chasing them, and not so much when they had pull-ups on, but my biggest problem with them wearing underwear before they were ready was they, if they peed in their underwear, that meant it was going to get on my couch or my floor or whatever they were sitting on, which that in their bed, it wasn't that big of a deal. You wash the sheets, and like you said, laundry sucks, but you could wash that. But it's a lot harder to get pee smell out of the couch.
True. Yeah, you have a point there. Okay, so we've talked about the little ones and how we've been deceived by media and marketing, and they need to maybe try and show. I mean, I guess it would be a good birth control campaign. Follow some parents around with little kids in their house.
Yes.
Show that as a commercial, because teenagers are going to be like, I don't want to deal with all of that. Like, that's
right?
Not what parenting is like. So we've talked a little bit about that. But I want to talk about now, because I have a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old. And you have, like you said, a 17-year-old, and you have a 13-year-old. And you are soon to have another 13-year-old in your house. And my prayers are with you. Like, I can't... I'm barely hanging on with my 13-year-old son and my 10-year-old who likes to think he's 13. I don't know how you're going to keep your sanity with 3 teenagers in the house. I just don't know how you're going to do it, because having a teenager... Like I said, there's moments where it's wonderful, but I really wish there was a school that you could send them to, which there is if you can afford it, in Switzerland or Sweden or wherever those places are, that you can just send them until they're nice, rounded, fully employed adults. And then, yeah, you can come back. But until then, I don't want to see you.
It was, my first daughter is she's 5 years older than my next one. So I went through the teen years with her. She was 15 when, my son was 10. And then when he turned 13, she turned 18. So I was pretty much done with her being, the teenager. And for me, with her, it wasn't as bad. I didn't have as many problems with her being a teenager per se until she realized that she was 18 and, wait a minute, I'm an adult. That's where my problems set in.
Yeah.
That's not the case now. Now, my 17-year-old has a social life, and he wants to get up and get going, and now he's got his license, so he's going to be wanting to drive a car, and my 13-year-old, my daughter is, wow.
Is she going to be tougher
I'm at a loss.
Is she going to be tougher than the first one?
Yes, by a long shot. And I mean, we all have good kids. My kids are great. I wouldn't trade them for the world. That being said, they have their moments.
They all have moments.
And, like I said, my oldest daughter, I didn't have as many problems with her when she was younger. But my younger daughter now, who's 13, I think that her and I are going to go to war a few times before she realizes. And, I remember being a teenager, and I was a pain, just like I was a pain in the ass to my mom. I can't tell you how many times she threatened my life. But that being said, after I had kids and I started seeing that she was actually right about a lot of stuff she said, I can't tell you how many times I've called that woman crying my eyes out and apologizing profusely for being such a jerk.
Oh, yeah. I've done it with my mom, too.
I'm just waiting for those days.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that phone call. Now, I don't, when they have kids and they realize that, hey, Mom is right. That's when I get my reward.
Yeah, I get that now. And we touched a little bit on that on the last episode, was where we get that look from our kids when we actually help them accomplish something or do something. Like my kids will be trying to, fix something or put something together or something. I'll be like, my kids are a lot like their dad. I'm divorced, so my oldest son is his dad through and through. From mannerisms, looks, analytical mind, he is his father 100%. And there are times where I have to say, Nate, why don't you just do it this way? Because he's trying the most complicated way I could ever think of to do whatever it is he's doing. And I'm looking at him going, well, why can't you just do this and this? Wouldn't it be the same result? And then he looks at it and he goes, oh, wow, good idea, Mom. My response always is, I have those sometimes. I mean,
right?
It's like they think that we don't, we're not smart. We've never done anything in our lives, like you said, and it's amazing. But having teenagers...
But when that happens, when he actually says, oh, that's a good idea, Mom, you try not to make a big deal out of it, but internally, you're doing the happy dance, aren't you? You're doing a victory dance, because it's not very often that you get that from your kids. Like, I am the coolest person on the planet until I'm hanging out with my kids and their friends. And then all of a sudden I become Mom, and I'm old, and my kids think that I'm old, and I don't feel old.
Yeah.
So it's not really fair for them to make me feel old or make me feel stupid, but they're really good at that.
Oh, yeah. They're excellent at making us feel dumb, old.
Right?
My son thinks that he can pull things with me and I'm not going to catch on. Example. He stayed after school with a friend, which is a friend that I don't really like too much, but they stayed after school and my son was supposed to be home by a certain time. Well, he decides to have his friend call me and pretend to be his dad and ask if Nathan can go to his house and stay later. And I'm on the phone thinking, okay, I have two choices. I can call this kid out and say, really, are you kidding me? Or I can just play along and, say, okay, your dad, we'll go with that, even though you sound like you're 13. Right. Because I'm pretty sure your dad isn't still going through puberty, because you sound like a 13-year-old girl right now. And, I can get upset and yell and do all that, or I can just play along. So I chose to just play along. And I said, no, Nathan needs to be home by 5 o'clock. Please make sure that he's there by 5 o'clock. And he was like, oh, okay. Needless to say, my son was late that night. I didn't know where he was. His phone was dead. So I'm driving around trying to find him. He finally comes home, and I ask him, do you really think that I am so dumb to where I can't realize that your friend is trying to pretend to be his father? I'm like, Nathan, I have done more and worse than you ever will, and I will always know when you're lying, and I will always know where you are, and I will always ask who, why, what, where, and when, and why, until you are maybe a parent of your own, but I can't guarantee that either. So.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you remember growing up and your mom caught you doing something that you were sure you got away with and you had no idea how she caught you?
Yep.
Do you remember that feeling like, how in the world did she know?
It wasn't my mom.
And now?
But it was my dad.
Or, well, yeah, okay, yes, your dad. But now, being the parent, isn't it obvious now how they knew? How the parents knew?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. If kids had any idea, I mean, I thought my mom was like superhuman. She had this crazy sense.
Mm-hmm.
She knew exactly what I was doing and when I was doing it. And I got caught all the time. And I never could figure it out. I got it now.
Yep. Now you know.
Yeah.
It's
so
kind of crazy.
you talked about analytical.
Yeah.
That's Dylan. Dylan, my youngest, my 12-year-old. He's the one who sees things outside the box. Yeah, he's the one who he notices all the stuff in the background.
Yep. Yep. I'm convinced that my ex-husband was a very intelligent man. He's very book smart. He can retain information like I've never seen before. And Nathan is the same way, but Nathan has very little common sense. And I think that is common with not only just men, but people in general. You either have
Sure.
one or the other. I'm not a dumb person, but I can't retain information very well. I'm not an analytical person. I am not intelligent, but I'm not dumb. Like, I'm a pretty smart person.
Right.
But when it comes to common sense, I got that coming out of out my ears. I mean, I've got good common sense.
That's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Right.
But my kids, my little one is a little bit more like me. He's still smart like his dad, but he has a little bit more common sense. He knows maybe I shouldn't do that. But Nathan, no, he's just like, I'm just going to do it. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to get in trouble for this. No, there's no way.
So you've got one that thinks about consequences before the action and considers it. And then you've got the other one that thinks about, let's just see what happens.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't matter to him until I say the Xbox is going away. And then he realizes he's made a mistake. Little too late, buddy.
Then all bets are off.
A little too late.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I have two polar opposite kids. I have one that could care less about school, doesn't care if he gets failing grades. School's the last place he wants to be. And then I have one who, if he has an A-, that's considered a B in his brain. He wants to go to school. He cares about getting good grades. He cares about doing good almost to a fault. So I have two polar opposite kids, but I don't think that God would give you two of the same children, because that's not fair. It's just not fair to get two of the same child. You have to have differences, because if I had another Nathan, I'd be in a loony bin and a straitjacket, and you'd have to come visit me, because there's no way I could have handled two. There's just no way. So.
Well, see, so I've got Alyssa was the first one, and she didn't care about school or any of that until she found out she was going to lose her phone and her car and her insurance. And I mean, she paid all that stuff when she was in high school. So after she got a job, that was important to her. So she didn't, she was very careful, and she graduated with great grades. Brandon, he's a boy, and he's got a social life, and he just, he cares about his grades, but and then there's now I've got Caitlin. She's always been the little sweetheart, good grades. I've never really had many problems with her, but I did have issues with her being bullied this year.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. But now her going back to school, she decided to cut class for the first time.
Oh, boy.
And made up a story and everything. So it was kind of amusing when she got caught.
Kind of like us getting caught smoking by the security guard, and we had an elaborate plan. We had an elaborate plan to cover it up when we got back to class.
And it was just a pen.
I mean, we were going to switch shirts, and we had this all planned out. And then we got the knock on the door, and there was a security guard. She knew who we were. She knew why did we think that we could get away with that? I mean, the school knows what class we're in right now. How would she have not found us?
Exactly. And even like when we were in high school, it wasn't so easy to get caught. You had to wait for the letter to come in the mail.
Yep.
Right now, for my kids, I can just go online and see whether or not they're in class.
Yep. We either had to wait for the letter, or Tempe High, they called your parents after school if you missed a class. But they were dumb because they went alphabetically. So I knew as soon as I got home, I needed to answer the phone because my last name started with an A. So I knew they were going to be calling.
Right.
So I had to be there to answer the phone, and you just answer the phone and hang up. And they're not going to call back twice because it's all automated. So, but you're right. Now I can just go online, and the school will now call you. If you don't call your child in, if I don't call my kids in and say they're going to be absent, I get an automated phone call from the school that tells me that my student has been marked absent. So there's no way they can ditch and me not know about it.
I know. So with her, she knew all that. She knew that I would catch her. She knew that if she didn't have a reason, so she texted me and said, I'm not going to be, one of my friends is having a problem, so I'm being her support. She's playing on the whole sympathy and being empathetic. And and I fully fell for it until the school called and said, it was the principal, and he calls me and says, Caitlin would like to talk to you. She got in trouble for cutting class today, and my jaw about hit the floor. What? So she had a whole backstory and everything. They just stayed in gym, and so she lost her phone for a week, and she was pretty upset about it, all of her electronics and stuff.
Aww.
So parenting, no, I am definitely not the parent I thought I was going to be.
Yep, me neither.
I'm a realistic parent now because I actually have kids. But before I had kids, I was a dreamer.
Yeah.
My kids were perfect. I was the best mom on the planet.
And another thing, I thought I'm never going to spank my kids because I was spanked as a child. I got a belt across my butt. And I swore I was never going to do that to my kids. I'm never going to spank them. I'm just going to give them a look. And they're going to stop doing whatever they're going to do. Okay, let me tell you what. I do have a look that I can give to my kids, and they'll both go, what? Like, they know that I'm irritated and that they better knock it off. But I don't spank my kids on a regular basis. I do try to avoid that at all costs. But I am telling you, there was a time with Nathan that I did do it a couple times, and it did work. It did work. It turned him around for the most part. I mean, he wasn't perfect by any means, but I said I would just give him that look and they'd stop whatever they're doing. It's only going to take a look. That's bullshit. It doesn't work.
Speaking of the look, I tried to do that and they laughed at me. Totally lost all my credibility. Yep, I tried to give them a look and I was being real stern and making that face and stuff, and they started cracking up, and then I was pissed.
Well, let's be fair here, though. Your upset or mean look is not very scary.
I don't have resting bitch face at all.
Well, and I do. See, that's my problem. I have that very much so. So, it works for me, but for you, and you can't keep you can't... Guys, Crystal will never be able to play poker. She does not have a poker face at all.
No, I don't.
Her emotions are all over her face.
Obvious.
Yeah. Your emotions are all over your face. I can tell when you're happy, sad, pissed off, irritated. It's written all over your face. There's no way that look would work with your kids. Because you just get you get that quirky smile on your face, and then they just know that you're...
And you can't help it. That nervous grin.
Yeah.
I know, because Alyssa's got it too.
Yep.
And, the one thing that I do have going for me as far as that goes is that my husband is scary. When he walks into the room and the kids... I I am so fortunate to have someone who backs me like that.
Yeah.
I do feel sorry for, like, when you call me and you're struggling and Nathan is giving you a hard time or Ian is giving you a hard time or whatever. I feel like, oh, I wish I could send my husband over there. He would just, right now, and straighten him out.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I do have that backup. But if I didn't have that, I think that I would be in a world of hurt.
Yeah.
And you touched on the whole spanking thing.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I don't disagree with spanking. I mean, more power to whoever does it or whatever. But me personally, I only use it if it's something that I don't like to overuse it.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. I haven't spanked my kids in a long time because they haven't deserved it. Right.
Yeah.
I want it to mean something.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, we are coming up on our 30-minute mark, or we've gone over it a little bit, but I think that next week or next episode, I don't think we've quite decided whether we're doing this weekly or bi-weekly, but we'll figure that out. I think that next episode, we should talk about a lovely little fist fight that happened between between you and me our junior year of high school. And the reason I want to talk about that is because it was a pivotal point in our friendship, and it changed our friendship drastically, if I could use that word.
I agree. I think that that's a good topic for the next episode, because if it weren't for that fight, there would be no Chris and Van.
Absolutely.
And there would definitely not be any spike coffee and sarcasm.
I agree. And I think that we can talk a little bit about that fight, and then maybe talk a little bit about bullying and how we feel about bullying, and some of the things that you've gone through with your daughter and bullying. Bullying. I don't think that's...
Bullying.
Yeah, bullying. Can't talk. So we'll touch on that. I just want to say I would like anybody who's listening, everybody that's listening, hopefully it's lots and lots of people, to please go to iTunes and subscribe to Spike Coffee and Sarcasm. We want to get our name out there. We want to get people listening to the podcast. We'll have a website coming up soon. We're working on that. And we also have a Facebook page right now, Spike Coffee and Sarcasm. We'll be posting things on there, any updates, anything that, maybe you guys need to know. When episode 3 comes out, we'll let you know. But please go to iTunes and subscribe. We really want this to be successful, and we want people to come and have a laugh with us and sit down and put a little Kahlua in your coffee and sit back and just have a good time. So anything else you want to add before we say goodbye?
No, but it was great catching up with you again.
Yes, I love it. This is my favorite part of doing this whole podcast, because I get to talk to my best friend more. So that's freaking fantastic.
Mine too. That is the full motivation, and it's a great thing, and I hope everybody enjoys it as much as you and I do.
I agree.
Because nobody's more entertaining than we are.
Well, no, we're freaking hilarious. Are you kidding me? Come on now. We're the funniest people ever. Duh. All right. Well, we will say goodbye for now. So come check back in and look for episode 3, and we will talk at you guys later.
All right. See ya.
Bye.